Good day, everyone. Hi, Jeff Ashbarger with Your VIPs, and I wanted to share with you today some of the background of not only how we got started, but the reason for our vision with Your VIPs, how everything came about, and of course share a little bit of about myself. In the process as I go through here today in the sharing. Hopefully, there's going to bring some smiles about a greater understanding, which I think is the most important part of exactly again how we got here, and we'll just go and grow here together with one another. So if you bear with me during this time, we'll not only get to know one another a little bit better, but you'll have a greater understanding of where we plan on going in the future, how we continue to plan on growing, and what we can do to refine and just get better as we continue to move throughout the whole process. So let me start by taking you back to the year was 2014, and I can even probably go a little bit further back than that, and that is that when I got out of the service in 1993, 94, I used my GI Bill to get a couple of different associate's degrees from my hometown area of Champaign, Illinois. A little shout out to Champaign there. And what I did is I went and I got an associate's in both hotel and restaurant management. I was very interested at the time in pursuing not only working in the field, which I did for 25 or 30 years, but I was also very interested in owning and running my own restaurant, and those were some of the dreams that I did pursue along the way. But we're going to focus mostly on the real estate end today. But I say that portion only to say that when I was using my GI Bill, I also did take a real estate course. It was something that has kind of always been at least on the back of my mind, or somewhere in my heart, that I enjoyed. And what I did is I took the Illinois real estate course, but I never took the state exam or anything like that. I passed the course, did those types of things, but kind of just kept it in my back pocket because my greater pursuit was for the hotel and restaurant industry at that time. When I did complete those degrees, my wife and I, over the years, we had used part of the real estate portion of my education in order to purchase some different properties, and we did everything from flipping to long holds to renting, those different types of things. I was the property manager, so the 2 a.m. calls, the pipe burst, and when you're in Central Illinois, the freezing pipes can definitely be an issue. Everything from kitchen model renovations, which I called in many of favors from many of different friends that I had in and around the area at the time, and no doubt without them, I would not have been able to make it all the way through. But so I say that to fast forward to the end of 2014. 2014, my daughters at the time were beginning their teenage years. I believe we're at 14, 11, and 8 at the time. And really, the only thing that we had done as far as vacation wise is maybe go an hour or two away from the home in order to enjoy basically a long weekend, because like I said, with me being the property manager, I always needed to be there in case anything went awry over the time. And so in doing that, we would just go to local lakes. Lake Shelbyville was probably the most common one that we went to. So after doing that for several years, what we ended up doing is that at the end of 2014, we put a new roof on our home there in Central Illinois, and I declared 2015 the no hammer year. So what the heck does no hammer year mean? Well, what no hammer year meant is that no matter what, I was not going into any major projects. Yes, I would do a few of this things and that and the other for the different properties, but we were not going to truly swing a hammer in order to take up the lion's share of our time, and we were going to save some of those dollars in order to take our family on a nice vacation. And so what we did is that that October, November, in 2014, we made the plan to go to Disney World. Well, again, since the girls at the time had never been really out of the state, maybe some of the neighboring states, maybe to Indiana, maybe to Wisconsin and Missouri and stuff, but no real travels in particular for no extended period of time. We wanted them to be in on part of the family decision, since they were the crux of why we were wanting to go. We're out and about and do a nice family vacation. So in doing that, we gave each of the girls the opportunity to choose one thing that it was that they wanted to do. So one of my daughters, she chose that she wanted to see the ocean. Another one of my daughters chose and she wanted to swim with the dolphins. Another one of my daughters, I had two at the time, competitive gymnasts, and one of the more popular young ladies, and one heck of an athlete, Simone Biles, was I guess you could say one of the young ladies that they truly looked up to and inspired them throughout their careers. And so we made a plan. We said, okay, we can do that. We can definitely make all those things happen. And with Disney kind of being the frosting on the cake, where a family function where we all agreed on and all were able to do, we set out with a plan. So 2015, kind of get first half kind of came and went, and then we're here towards the second half, and we had planned on going out. We homeschool all our girls. Go towards the end of September, beginning of October, where things in Florida, South Florida, were not as hot, not going to be as crowded, just because of the school traffic and all the kids being there from the summer. Just wasn't going to be there. So we did that. What we did is that we loaded up the minivan. Oh boy, that was quite a morning within it, in itself. The prior weeks before, I got the oil change, I got the tire rotation, had it go into the shop, and had the once over top to bottom. Got the spare tire, all those different types of things, and we loaded it up, and boy was she loaded up. So around the last week of September in 2015, we were ready to go. So we had the loaded up minivan. We had our 125-pound dog Tucker. We had my three daughters, and of course my beautiful bride, who is quite the navigator for us through all of our adventures, but in particular on this ship. We had all the girls had their music and everything ready to go, all queued up for the nice long trip, and here we go. We were headed out, and it was quite a fun time and quite a fun trip. So we drive approximately halfway down, good long day of driving there the very first day. But let me rewind just a little bit. One of the things that we did, actually, before we even pulled out the driveway, this is a dad tip for all you dads out there, or mothers. We went by the bank the day before, and we got loaded up envelopes with one of each bill. So we put in 100, we put in a 50, a 20, a 10. 5, 2, 1, all the way down. So, and what we did is, before we pulled out of the driveway, is handed that envelope over to one each to our daughters, and there was but one rule with it, and that rule was simply, hey, whatever a dollar comes back in these envelopes back to this driveway is the parents to keep. We wanted them to go out there and just have fun while we were out and about, but we also wanted them to not have to hold back on, if they wanted the big stuffed teddy bear that was $75 or whatever it was, fine. Go ahead and go get it. If they wanted to load up on candy, if they wanted to load up whatever they wanted, they had the opportunity to be able to purchase whatever extra things that there were for themselves. So that was a quick dad tip for you. So we head out. We make it down to South Georgia the first night, go and spend the night at a little spot. Girls, I believe, had their first Waffle House there. Nice experience for a little something in the belly. And also just to kind of finish up the day. And then, of course, bright and early the next day, we head down. And we were probably, I can't remember exactly, about 4 hours north of our final destination there in Orlando. We had booked a beautiful spot, an Airbnb with a pool and a little jacuzzi tub and plenty of bedrooms, plenty of space for everybody, and of course Tucker along the way. So that was really nice. We really enjoyed enjoyed our time there. So the way we planned out the trip was that we set it up in a manner that we were there about a week-ish. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but in essence, we had 1 day on and 1 day off. And what I mean by that is that, for example, we go to Disney one day, and then the next day we would stay at home or have no big event. And then we went, to the beach, and then the next day we would have no big event and kind of stick around. But worked out really well, especially with having the pool and the jacuzzi, just having time to sit back and relax, because we really did wanted a vacation, not running around with a chicken with our head cut off the whole darn time. So first day, I believe it was, we went to Disneyland, had a wonderful time with the family, did all the rides, did all the events, did everything. And the favorite Disney characters of the daughters, that was really fun. They really got to enjoy it, and I'll probably even share some of the pictures with you in this. And then I believe the next day, of course, was rest. And then we went the next morning. We got up bright and early, and we headed over to the East Coast on the Atlantic side to Cocoa Beach, and we were going to see the sunrise, and our daughters were going to be able to enjoy the Atlantic Ocean, or any ocean, for the first time ever. So wow, what an experience that was. Of course, we get up, before dawn and head on over. I can't remember, it's about an hour and a half away. Nice little drive over there, and we're there before the sun rises on that beautiful morning, and got to see the sun come up over the crest of the water and just light it up. It was kind of cloudy, but just a beautiful morning for myself and the whole family to enjoy together. The kids are running around checking on shells. I believe that's where we met Bob the Crab. That's for another video at another time. But just really had a wonderful time, and my wife and I got to enjoy the experience of being able to watch our children, be able to see the discovery within them. So that was a really special time. So we come back, I can't remember, later on that afternoon, getting relaxed the rest of the day, go on again to the next one, I believe was Discovery Cove, where we were able to swim with the dolphins. Wow, what a fun time it was to be able to swim with the dolphins. We got the picture package, so you got the pictures, the video, your time with the dolphins, the girls. Again, just it's priceless what we were able to experience with our family during that time. Then as we were wrapping up our time there in South Florida, I think I mentioned before that my wife, we have been homeschooling. She did the lion's share of the work, and has done the lion's share of the work throughout our whole journey. But one of the things that the girls were to do is write one page about every state that we went through. If I remember correctly, we were going through 11 different states. We were going to go through 3,000 miles worth of driving, obviously broken up, but from from our home to Orlando to Houston, where we were headed to next, and then back home. The journey was, it was, I think a little over 2 weeks and a little over 3,000 miles, but again, worth every bit of it. So back to the girls were to write a one-page story about each of the states, whatever their perspective was. We just wanted to have something not only to remember about, but for them to specifically remember on what they saw about each state and their thoughts about being in and around this area. So here we go. So we load up. We, I believe, spent one night in Tallahassee, and then we're coming across the Panhandle where we currently live. And it really is very beautiful. Interstate 1 or Interstate 10, all the way across, basically goes from coast to coast. And so we're driving across the Panhandle. We make a stop in Biloxi, Mississippi. And another dad tip here. This is where the trip was getting kind of long because of all the driving that we were now doing. And we stopped. We had the van loaded up, and the girls learned what valet service was. And boy, have I been paying for it literally ever since. But we enjoyed that. We stayed at the Hard Rock Cafe. Enjoyed the stay there. Got a room with an ocean view, so the girls could always remember that special time. Had the swim up pool, just a great time. They got to go down and eat at the Hard Rock Cafe and that kind of stuff. And mom and dad kind of got a little date night out of the deal and went down to Ruth Chris and enjoyed a beautiful meal. And then, of course, the next morning we packed up and headed the rest of the way to Houston. Houston, not only there was Simone Biles there, but one of my sisters was there. So she was kind enough, her and her husband were kind enough to open up their home from me and my family, and we got to spend, I can't remember, about another week or so over there with them. So not only were we able to go to see, and the girls did get to see Simone Biles. She was practicing one of the days that we went by there, but also over at, we got to go to the zoo in downtown Houston and do some discovering, mall shopping, all different kinds of things over there. And then, of course, it was time to head back home. So it was then when we were heading back home, our middle daughter Grace kind of put forth the question, hey, this is such a beautiful area that we just traveled to. I'd really like to live down here. So the question was posed, why can't we live down here? So after a little scratching of the head, mom and dad were like, no, we got family back home and we need to stay there, and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, our middle daughter, if she's anything, she's very much like me. She's very persistent, so she ends up being persistent all the way home. And then when we do get home, her and her mother over the next couple of weeks was doing some cost comparisons to the cost of living down here in the state of Florida. And here I'll go into some of the benefits most of you are already aware of. There is no state income tax here in the state of Florida. The lion's share of the revenue that is needed to run the state does come from tourism. We are the Sunshine State, and there's great reason why many people flock here each and every day, each and every year, time in and time out, and bring lots of revenue into the state. I want to say, don't want to get too much on a tangent, but currently the state is at a $21 billion surplus with a very fiscally sound run state, and doing very well economically, no doubt about it. And I want to say the most the state that people most go to are either Florida or Texas. I believe they're number one, number two. They kind of swap back and forth, but those are two very popular states as far as destinations for families to transition their families to. Hence, this video and what we're doing is we're talking about the transition and what is going on with that, and how our team can help you with your transition to whatever it is that you choose to do as far as you and your moving needs. All right. So 2015 again kind of came and went. You got the summary of that. So here comes 2016. We're at the beginning of 2016, and it is pretty heavy that the decision was made that we're going to go ahead and make a move. We're going to make a move down south. We weren't sure exactly where. Some research was done, and we ended up deciding on this area here in the panhandle of Florida. Most of you probably already know about it. Of course, it is it's the Emerald Coast. It's such a beautiful area with so much to do, so many natural resources, everything from, again, the beautiful sun from the Sunshine State to the sand, which is actually quartz. It's a ground quartz. You can actually, even in the middle of the summer, you can walk in the sand, and it's without your flip flops on, and you don't have to have burnt feet when you're done there. So it's just a beautiful area. Not a heavily populated area. Probably the biggest city in and around here is Pensacola, where you have NAS Pensacola, which is home to the Blue Angels, and boy, is that a treat during their scheduled year of flying. That each Sunday evening, just depends on the time, but about 5 or 6 in late afternoon, early evening, they come flying home and they buzz Pensacola Beach, and it's quite a sight to see. Not to mention the air shows that they do a couple times a year here, and then of course throughout the country. But I digress. So we end up choosing the Panhandle. We started off over in the Fort Walton area. When we came down, when we did come down here, we came down to the Fort Walton area because it was one of the more popular areas. Fort Walton and Destin are, I don't know if you want to call them necessarily, but they're kind of sister communities and cities. They're the more popular tourist destinations, which again I think is an awesome thing. However, for us in our family life, it just was not. It was not where we wanted to be for the everyday life. If you want to go, sailing, if you want to go parasailing, if you want to go what are the glass bottom boats, swim with the dolphins, jet ski rentals, all these different types of things. It's again very popular, wonderful place for you and your family to go down and take full advantage of that. I highly recommend it in coming and visiting. But for us, as far as the family portion, that was something we were not interested in as far as the everyday life because of the traffic, the busyness, and those different types of things. So what we did is that we ended up, as we come down and start visiting, this is probably the second half of 2016. The second half of 2016, we started coming down and looking for places because let me digress just a little bit. In the first half, after the decision was made in 2016, what we did is that we made the decision, since we were going to do that, we're going to sell off some of these properties that we had been managing, that we've been running, finish the flips and those different types of things. So as the year progressed, we were able to sell, I want to say we had maybe 5 or 6 properties that we needed to get rid of at the time. So what we were doing, we just basically took the year. 2015 was no hammer year. 2016 was sell everything and go year. So that's what we ended up doing. So we end up selling everything except for our primary home that year. And again, we're about September, and we start making some trips down here to this area. Some with the whole family, some with just my better half. Because, as I mentioned, when we first came down, we were looking primarily in the Fort Walton, Mary Esther area, a little bit east of where we ended up choosing to purchase a home. So it took a few visits in order for us to find the home. So we'd stay down here for a long weekend, go back home. A couple weeks later, do the same thing. We we really mastered the art of getting back and forth from Central Illinois to Northwest Florida. The old stop at the gas stations, pick up what it was that you needed, grab a quick bite to eat, fuel up, and keep on trucking. So we did that. We did that a handful of times, and as we made the trips, what we were doing is we just kept moving down the Highway 98, just a little bit further west, a little bit further west each time. And as we made our way west, we ended up in an area called Gulf Breeze, what I like to refer to as the most accurately named town in the United States of America. It truly is a beautiful area. It truly is a wonderful spot to raise your family, in my humble opinion. And to have the opportunity to move here was and is a true blessing in my life. So we make the decision to buy here in Gulf Breeze. So we're down to the last weekend, because it's 2017 is creeping up on us, and that's what our goal was, is the first quarter of 2017 is to be down here. So it was my wife and I on decision weekend, and we make a move from Central Illinois down here, and we had picked a handful of different homes and places that we wanted to go see. And we end up meeting what ended up being the broker I worked with for the better part of 5 years, and really helped launch my career. So we end up purchasing this home. It's a Gulf Coast Dream Homes home, beautiful home, wonderful location. Could not be more happy, not only with the location, but with the quality of build that we ended up getting. So I launched my career, and we have the home built. It's ready, I want to say, the first week of 2017. So here we go. Now we're at 2017. So in 2017, I want to say it was in January of 2017, we make a move here. Or originally we signed the paperwork, and then I came down, I want to say in the first or second week of February. I called in a few friend requests from some great people. David Burns was kind enough to lend his enclosed trailer. Phil Gray and his two oldest boys were kind enough to drive their 15 passenger van packed to the gills with the Hashbarger stuff, and we made a move down here on the 17th of February 2017. So we do that. We come down. We unload. We had a nice quick weekend, because Phil had to head back with his boys that weekend, and I did studying for my test. And here we go. Now we're really getting into the meat, because it was during that, I don't think I covered this, so I'll rewind a little bit. During that year of 2016, when we were making all those decisions for all the big changes that we made in our lives, we made the decision that I would work in full-time real estate. As I have mentioned a few times before, we have dabbled in real estate for plenty of years, 25 years in different areas, but never had I been a full-time agent. Yes, we had bought, yes, we had sold, yes, we had done all those different types of things, but that's a lot different than full-time real estate, because my job in Central Illinois, it was your standard job where, every other Friday there were, presuming you go to work and do what you're supposed to do, there was a dollar in the bank. There wasn't much more thinking into it. But when you transition to full-time sales and helping people in this business, it is quite different. And then what makes it even more different for me specifically was that, hey, I was going to an area that I was only really familiar with on a map. I wasn't familiar with the culture and the feed, the feeling, the vibe, what was going on in and around this area. Other than, hey, yes, I really liked it in my handful of weekends that I was able to stay here. So again, no doubt in my mind, my wife and my family and I, we made the absolute positively best decision of our lives and do it. But now I'm going to get into some of the nitty gritty of what transpired in doing that. So here we are at the beginning of 2017. My wife says, yes, we'll do it. We'll get the house. We'll come on down here. She says she's going to do it for two things, P&P, pool and a palm tree. So guess what we got in our backyard here? I must say my wife's taste is very, very good. The pool is very beautiful. The palm tree that she selected is very beautiful, and she's done a masterful job of landscaping our backyard and in our what we like to refer to as our little oasis. We do live in paradise, but having something that you can step out to from your own backyard, from your house into your own backyard, is truly something special and something that I look forward to perhaps helping you with here in the near future. So 2017, quite a learning experience. It was very eye-opening, not only for myself but for my whole family, as I end up choosing the brokerage with Keith, going with him, and he definitely taught me the ropes. He will never be forgotten for all that he did and helped in launching my full-time real estate career, whether it was going to luncheons or going to going to board meetings, because it seemed like Keith was about every board, and him being a real estate agent, I want to say for 38 plus years and 30 plus in this area, his experience and relationships that he had built, and I in turn got to tap into, has been immeasurable in my career. So in 2017, as we begin to launch, the career again, I chose going with Keith. I end up being with him, and he's showing me the ropes. He's showing me around. I'm learning all these different types of things. The girls are getting adjusted to the new community. My wife's getting adjusted to the new community, taking a house and creating a home with it, all the while with limited funds coming in, and X amount of dollars. I can't even tell you exactly what it was that we came down here with, which was a good amount, but it tends to go pretty darn fast when you don't have a lot of income or no income coming in. So in doing that, the first 6 months was a real eye opener for me. I have no problem with putting in the work and putting in the hours and doing those types of things. So I was working from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I was basically given Keith's old Rolodex, and I was doing everything from calling the old numbers to, in order to reconnect with past clients or people who may have not bought or whatever it was, and then just marketing any way that I could. Along the way, because of the relationships that I was able to build, not only by myself but with and through Keith, I was able to learn and meet more people by just getting myself out there, working all those different hours, going to the different functions, working and making those different types of things happen. So as I did that, it was it was really a challenge, because of the concern with the lack of funds coming in, and we were not getting a lot of traction on the home where we thought that would sell pretty darn quickly there in central Illinois. Well, it hadn't, and days turned to weeks, weeks turns to months, and we're in the fall of 2017, and no real bites to speak of on our home. So I had at that time maybe closed a couple of homes, and got real. It was already lean, but it was just getting more and more lean as the bank account kept dwindling. But with my wife at my side, I was able to continue to um, keep moving forward. It was her love and her support and her belief in me that truly, kept me on track, kept me going. We had made this commitment together, and getting out there and doing it. And I want to say, even in that fall, maybe like I think during the Christmas season, she got a part-time job making next to nothing, but it was enough to, put a little gas in the tank and those different types of things. Because if I remember correctly, Christmas was pretty darn slim that year, just because of the fact we had so little funds left, due to the lack of the sale of the house. Plus, my 2017 sales were far from abundant. When I tell this story, I remember it well. I made $9,948, which earning $10,000 with a family of five, with two different homes in two different states, with everything that goes with that, two different power bills, water bills, insurance, blah blah blah, you know it, the list goes on and on. That's what made that first year very, very challenging. However, we make it through 2017, and as we make it through 2017, I had a little bit of momentum going into 2018. So 2018, it turns into a much better year than 2017, because of all those phone calls, all the connections, all the relationships, all the work that I had been putting in. We started seeing some of the fruits of the labor. And I want to say it was about that time that it was my wife. She actually started working. She's a cosmetologist. She started working at the local college, teaching new young ladies on her profession. And with her vast experience and knowledge, it was quite a fit. It worked out very, very well. She owned her own salon for the better part of 20 plus years when we lived in central Illinois, and it seemed to fit her very, very well. She enjoyed being able to still be in the industry without having the day-to-day wear and tear that it does do on the body. So we were really glad and fortunate for that, and that worked out very well, not only for her but for us as a family. So here we are, 2018. It's the end of the first quarter. We're about May-ish, and we weren't going out a lot. We didn't know what the inside of a restaurant looked like in this area at that time, just due to the slim budget. So the lion's share of our time was spent out back. Beautiful oasis again that my better half set up for us. And one of the things that we like to do is there's like a little edge, and we would go sit on the edge at the end of the day, and I'd tell her about Monday and the phone calls and those different kinds of things, and she'd share with me. And I want to say it was either end of April, beginning of May, somewhere around that time. I looked over at her and I said, "Honey," I said, "we're doing it. We're kicking butt and taking names. It's not going at the exact pace that we had originally hoped for, but there's always a but. Um, After next month, I don't I don't know how we're going to be able to pay both sets of homes and be able to make this work any longer. We're going to have to stop our payments there in Illinois, because up to that point we had never missed a payment. You know, did some come in at the last minute? You know, I do the 10th, you know, gets there the 9th, and those different types of things. Yes, there was plenty of that, but at this point, just the funds just were not going to be there. I didn't really have any closing scheduled or anything of that nature. So I had to look at my better half right in the eyes and say, I don't know that if we're going to be able to do it unless we sell that house. Well, it was a very short order later. I don't know how quickly it was exactly. Less than a week, we got the house in Illinois under contract. Um, we were able to do, oh boy, did we scrambled. We called in countless favors, and so many people helped us because we couldn't do any of the repairs and things and stuff like that were that nature. Um, but we got it closed, and the closing date happened to be our 20th wedding anniversary, which was not the it was glorious in that I got to be with my better half, but it wasn't exactly what I had dreamed up as far as 20th wedding anniversary vacations. It was I want to say the place is Taco Rock, and we probably split a dish and came back home and had an adult beverage in the pool, because again things were slim, and that closing, I remember we had to write a check for $15,000 just to make sure that closed. But that, you know, stopped all the bleeding. That led us to bigger and better things for the second half of 2018. The beginning part of second half of 2018, we paid everything back. We made it over to um, uh, New Orleans late in the year. After everything got paid back, we went and stayed at the Ritz Carlton, my wife and I, the club level. Little shout out, nice recommendation. Nice spot, quality service all the way around. But I actually was able to give my wife the 20th anniversary that she deserves there at the Ritz. So definitely worth that over there. Momentum kept on building. We kept on going. We kept on growing, and everything the wheels were really starting to churn. I want to say I finished up the second half of 2018 extremely strong, and I believe in that year I sold $4.5 million, or maybe $4.6 million worth of real estate. So it turned out very well. We were doing much better. We were paying everybody back, bringing the water line, which was right here for such an extended period. We were bringing it down to the waist in 2019. We were working to get it back to the ankles. So when you're walking on the beach, you know, it's really nice when you're able to walk on the beach and the waves come up on your ankles. That's the analogy I enjoy using. But when you're walking out there and the water line's right here, that walk on the beach is not as comforting and not as much fun. So we definitely made that transition. All right. So it was the year that 2019, and this is really where I want to begin. 2019, in my mind, it really changed. It really changed everything. 2019. I'll switch it.